Now in this video I'm gonna show you a more advanced maintenance that you should do, generally speaking, once a year. You don't have to do it more often unless you really use and abuse the pistol, then you can do it a little bit more often. Now let's take it apart and let's do the maintenance. First we will take off the slide. We will hold it like this, and here inside you have to align it with the notch that you will see in there. Like this, and pop it out. If you don't align it, it will not get out, so don't force it. We will put it aside, and now we need to remove the slide. If it's not going smoothly, don't try to force it. Just rag the slide, and it will basically pop off. Just like that. And now we have exposed all the places that we need to access to lube them. Here, first we want to lube the spring guide right there, and also we want to put a tiny bit of oil on the contact surfaces right here and on this side where the sears engage with the slide. For that we will use the NOVRITSCH maintenance kit, where we have everything that we need to do this. And we will use the thick silicone oil for this part right here and the thin one on the guide rod. So first we will put one drop of oil here, kind of try to spread it around a little bit. And now we just move the slide around, and I can already see that it's spreading the lube everywhere on the spring guide. That's it. First part done. Simple as that. Doesn't require any more oil or any more attention. Now, if you want, you can wipe this area on the inside a little bit to get rid of any debris or dirt or whatever found its way inside. You can just wipe it. See, this one can already use a little bit of cleaning right there. Just get the most stuff out, have it nice and clean, and that's pretty much it. Much better actually. And now we put a few drops on this side and on this side on the chamfers. So I'm gonna take something pointy so that I can show you better. Here you see these chamfers. We will put a bit of oil here, right here, also here, and on the other side as well. So we can do it. Now be careful not to put anything inside of the nozzle. That could screw up your hop-up. We don't want that. And we are using the thick silicone oil because we don't want it to get everywhere. So since it's thicker, it will stay where it's supposed to stay. All right, I'm gonna spread it with my finger a little bit, also to get rid of any excess. Just like that. All right, that's another thing solved. Like I said, it's gonna be simple. This doesn't require any more attention. Now we will put it back, and we will take a look at the blowback housing itself in the next step. So just slide it on there. If it doesn't want to go in, make sure the sears are moving and push them down. Again, you have to align this notch. Now you can see it pretty well. Here is the notch. Can we see it? Yes, we can see it. Here is the notch, and that needs to align with this one. Just like that. All right, now we take out this screw right here on the top, and we will get to the blowback housing. Now, before I start disassembling this part, just be aware that this is not necessary to do it often. Only if you feel like, it's been a really long time, the gun is dirty, I already cleaned the barrel 10 times, I did the rest of the maintenance several times. This is really a part that doesn't need to be taken out, but I still want to show you, so be aware of that. You probably don't need to do this. Also, this can get a little bit tricky because this screw, it's pretty essential in there, so we put screw glue on it so that it doesn't come out on accident. So you have to be careful not to strip the screw, and if you are having really hard time getting it out, don't force it. Take out the fiber optic tubes and heat it up a little bit with a hair dryer or heat gun. Again, you have to be careful because there is plastic underneath the nozzle and so on. So really, consider if you really need this step. I'm gonna show you anyway. Also, very important thing, you should use a proper bit which is large enough and has contact surfaces. If you try to use something that's not exactly fitting the screw, not a good time. It will probably strip the head of the screw, which you don't want. All right, now it's loose. We got it out. Now watch out for the spring that could jump out on you, so be careful. Here you can see, here we have the spring, so don't lose it. All right. Now what we need to do is to wipe it. If there is some dirt, just make sure this whole part is clean. We can also disassemble it completely. Yes. Just like that. And now just wipe everything you can. Just make it nice and clean. Okay, now before we put it back together, we use the thin silicone oil because we want this part to move fast and not being slowed down by unnecessary oil or friction or whatnot. So thin silicone oil, that's what I'm saying. There we go, on this part, and also on the top right here. Just smear it with your finger, just a little bit. Don't overdo it. And now we can put it back together. Move it around. And also we will put a little bit of thin silicone oil on the seal right here, on the ring. Again, just a tiny bit. There we go. And now it can go back together. And move it around a couple of more times. And that's pretty much it. You don't need to do anything else. Now we just need to assemble it back together. And before we put it back, we just put a tiny, tiny amount of oil on the spring itself, because the spring is in contact with the slide as well, and we don't want any friction, or we want to prevent all the friction that we can prevent. All right. Now it's back in place and we can put the side back. But first we need to take out the screw, and we have to apply screw glue again so that it just doesn't jump out when you are shooting. So take a middle strength screw glue. If you have the NOVRITSCH maintenance kit, you already have the correct one. And once again, just a tiny, tiny drop on there. Don't overdo it. It's not necessary. Don't over tighten anything. And that's it. You are done with the maintenance. and the SSP5 is ready to go.